Hi, I'm Raina Gilead, and this is episode 19 of the Lester Leadership Series. This series explores AEC industry trends with an emphasis on transportation and diversity, equity, and inclusion, while highlighting the voices of leaders with a special spotlight on women in the industry. Today, I have the honor to interview a celebrated leader of the transportation community, Dana Lang. Dana Lang grew up in East Palo Alto, California. She earned a BA in economics from Wellesley College, an MBA from Cal Berkeley's Haas Business School, then married and while raising three sons, spent over 25 years securing hundreds of millions in transportation and security grants for transit agencies. She focused her career on transportation funding, policy, and security, including working for the Oakland Mayor's Office, Metropolitan Transportation Commission, San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency, MUNI, San Francisco Police Department, and San Francisco International Airport. For the past 5 years, she has served as business consultant to clients such as Leicester National. During most of 2024, Dana stepped away from work and focused on running for the BART board in the November 5th general election. She wanted to use her experience in transportation to improve BART's fiscal stability, safety, and vitality. Although she did not win this contested election, even though I voted for her, she did well for a first-time candidate and earned 65,000 votes, or 43% in District 7, which included nearly half of Oakland, as well as Piedmont, Emeryville, Alameda, and a small portion of San Francisco as well. Dana currently serves as vice chair of the BART Police Civilian Oversight Board and has been a long-term board member and past president of the Northern California chapter of COMTO, the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, where she initiated COMTO's scholarship program. Dana, thank you so much for being here. We're super happy to have you. You obviously have so many years in transportation and experience.
Thank you so much, Raina, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's also a pleasure not to have to go to the podium and then switch. These past few months, I've been on some nights 2 events per night. So this is low pressure comparatively.
Low pressure, yes, and in the comfort of your space and everything.
Yes, with good people, with really good people that I know. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I know you've been so busy. So again, it's just been nice to be able to make this appointment and have you here. So the first question I wanted to ask you, I wanted you could tell us why you decided to take the path of transportation policy and service that you have. Tell us about your current role. Tell us about your experience on that path.
Okay. Well, I wanted to do what I could for civic engagement. I grew up in East Palo Alto, California, and at the time it was unincorporated. We wanted to make something big with our own, voices. And so I knew that eventually I wanted to have an impact on my community. In East Palo Alto, low-income community, but close enough to Stanford to see a role model of which we knew quite a few of the mentors or people who were helping us, our community from Stanford. I wanted to get the best education I could, so I went to Wellesley College from there and then came back to Cal Berkeley. I knew that with that hands-on analytical tools, I could know or have insight into what makes a community successful. How do we get the funding? How do we get the resources? Who are the people that can help us? So that was the path that I followed in order to have an impact. I, of course, ended up, as you mentioned, working for the Oakland Mayor's Office, and I was like, now I can get my hands on some stuff. And so people were happy to work with me, to be a grants person and to give us what we needed. And from there, I went on to the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, where they were dealing with $500 million. And I was the funding specialist. How do we unlock some of that money? So it was fascinating working with all 25 transit agencies on here's what's apportioned to you, and here's how we get that, get access to the funds. So I like networking. I like working with the federal and state funders. I like working with the transit agencies. And so that was a challenge and a privilege. And so that's what I've done over time. I kept every 3 or 4 years, I'd go to a new agency. Now I can get a bigger piece of the puzzle. I went to Muni and found all sorts of, tens of millions of dollars in transportation security funding. And then I went to the airport and helped transit small businesses get access. So I always found a way to, behind the scenes, make it work. And that's what even when I retired from San Francisco International Airport, I'm still working with, small business and we sometimes will go over to the airport or different places to go show up at RFP meetings. And how do we get how do we engage? So those are some of the things I've done.
I don't know if you've heard of this saying that transportation is the great equalizer. So providing rides for those who do not have a car or cannot drive, having access to affordable, reliable transportation really can mean the difference between isolation and opportunity. So you having so much experience in transportation and with that statement, does it resonate? Do you resonate with that statement? And if so, like how?
Yes, it absolutely is a great equalizer. People need a way to get to work, but they also, now that we're getting more into the transit village or the transit-oriented developments, we are able to get people to live where they, close to where they work, or live at or near transit stations and BART stations. And so that helps the environment because you're not you're taking cars off the road, and it's providing jobs nearby, and it provides access. And so that's what we want to do. We want everyone, as many people as possible, to be able to have a home, to have a place to work, to get to the work. And as you also may know, a lot of people who at the lower levels of the economy need to go in person to their jobs. So if you're a service worker, you need to get there. And because of the way things work now, many of them have to live in the outlying areas. So getting them back in, or getting them situated where the transportation is not as expensive, is critical. That's one of the pieces of the puzzle. But I love solving puzzles, riddles, and making it work. And especially when it involves helping other people get to the level that they need to be at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, according to the data, while women make up 51% of the US population, a minute percentage take the kind of leadership role that you have committed to. So, another reason, again, we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
What particular obstacles do you believe you have faced as a woman?
Well, coming from East Palo Alto, we were always trying to overcome and to help each other overcome. And I was the youngest in my family too. So some people, culturally, a lot of people are like, how, who do you think you are? And I even had instructors in high school. I'm like, coming from, it was called Ravenswood High School, which was predominantly Black and brown back then. And how dare you think about college? So of course that's where I'm going. It must be very important. So I wanted to, I got as many mentors from Stanford and friends, and we were not that far from Stanford, and the students would come and tutor us. And I mainly went to the tutorial sessions. I was a good student, to make friends and to get inspiration. And so I was never, as a Black woman from a low-income community, I was not seen as enough, but I was determined to build myself up to be enough and then some. And so I dared and greatly and went, got the education, overcame as much as I could, and my intention was to help as many people as possible. So one of my mentors is still a professor at Harvard, Pamela Mason, and we talk quite a bit, and she says, women don't ask. So she challenged me along the way to go ask for that next raise, go ask for that opportunity. And so I dared. I went and asked the head of Muni back in 2008. I said, look at all the funding I brought. I really need to be at, higher level than an analyst. And so even though I didn't get it because they were laying off at that moment. Every city department was laying off. But I found a place in the San Francisco Police Department that really needed me. They needed me, and I was able to get a grant almost every month. And even during no, it wasn't the pandemic, it was called the Great Recession of 2008. So I went in 2009 and I became a factor. They were very, very respectful. They work with me. They saw me as a problem solver. And the chief of police and all of the deputies were always happy to see me, because together we could come up with plans to, whether it was community policing programs, helping women and children, helping victims of violence. There were always solutions that together we would work on. So those were some of the obstacles. The way to around them is to find a way, and to be that person who asks, even if you have to ask politely, and if you don't get a good answer, go to the next level, go to someone who will give you that yes.
Yeah. Asking, as well as it sounds like too, adding, say, hey, you have to,
Yes.
you have to sell yourself too. That's a big, important piece, especially I would say too, for women. So I'm glad you touched on that as well. So speaking of women, young women, what would you tell young women interested in following your path?
Well, get as much education and experience as you can. Position yourself. And as you know, as you may have heard, a lot of women wait until they get 99% of the puzzle before they push. And so, and a lot of, it's not
Right.
the same for men. So when you feel that at whatever point you can't just, generally speaking, I wouldn't say, go for it, with no experience. But once you have any amount of experience, go for it and keep pushing to get that experience to expand your horizon, so that now you can claim the next step, or a bigger piece of the puzzle, a bigger piece of the pie. I also would advise young women to get involved in professional groups, because that's where you'll find your mentors. For me, it was the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials. And when I worked for the airport, it was Airport Minority Advisory Committee, Women in Transportation. So there's always going to be a group of women who are professional, who can help you, who can show you the way, mentor you, and together you're working on things and you become a part of their society, or part of their friend group, or professional group. Also, so mentors are important. Working together with groups are important. But also, one thing I wish I had done before I ran for office was to get involved politically. I had worked for a former mayor, and I've worked on a lot of campaigns, but I didn't step in myself. So I was a novice when it came to, oh my God, there's certain things that I'm going to need. I did have professional guidance, but it took a while to really get oriented And I was behind the 8 ball, I guess you'd say, behind having to learn what does it take. So get involved in groups, even groups like League of Women Voters, or um, any group that is pushing your political agenda. Because if you ever just, they can push for you and with you, even if they can also become your mentors as you get to know them. So don't leave politics out of it, because as you go up the ladder, even if you're never going to be a politician, if you're going to be appointed, if you're going to, or elected, or just look for the next step in your career, the political advocates can be your friends. So some of my best friends or best advocates have been former Oakland Mayor Elihu Harris, former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, and some of the BART board members but I didn't know I was going to need them. And so don't rule out politicians for helping you. If you can help them, they can help you. Um, and then finally, I'm not, I think this is finally honor and respect yourself. Sometimes I was so used to stepping back and being that. I did a lot of heavy lifting. And I made it look easy sometimes. Coming in on weekends, I get it done, which might take other people 3 weeks. So I didn't get much sleep at that time if I had the deadline. But I'm proud to say that after all these 20 plus years, I've never, ever missed a grant deadline. And I've probably have a 80% success rate, and that is even with very competitive grants, because I try to make the story to learn as much as possible about why we need this grant, make it compelling, get the statistics, talk to people, tell the story, and then tell it financially and every which way. Do the, cross all the T's, dot the I's, line up the people, and then they'll carry you to the victory of bringing resource to community. So do that, and honor and respect yourself. Take time, be the best, but take you and take time to appreciate yourself. Running for office, I've had to really step back. What have I ever done? What have I, what is my story? And when I really thought about, because I had to provide a lot of materials that went online, I was like, this woman is, she's very low key, but she's done some amazing things. She's gotten she brought 50 million, a great recession. The city was laying off. And I put as many people on those grants as possible. So respect yourself, look at your story, and honor that, so that you can take time to celebrate you.
Absolutely. Very well said, and very important. So what has been the most gratifying aspect of your work, would you say? I mean, it spans so much, and you've done so many different things, especially recently. So, I don't know.
Well, yeah. I think looking back over the body of knowledge, or the body of work that I've had the last 25 years or so, I mean, I was in private enterprise before I found my way into City Hall and transportation. But what I found the most interesting, exciting, and fun was taking a concept and talking about a dream, and especially when I was with the police department, or even Muni or airport, what are we dreaming about? What would we like to happen? And sometimes we'd sit around a big round table with 10 of us, and I would take the lead. I was allowed to take the lead because I knew about I put all the pieces together for the other members. And that was very gratifying, to sit and dream about if we could help women and children, victims of violence, victims of human trafficking. And I'd hear stories like, we know where those babies are. I'll never forget that. The deputy chief or the captain saying, we know where the babies are. We know where those women are. If we could get more money, we could go out and find them. We know where this is or that is, and we could solve some of the city problems by going after this. And so we would get those sessions that would last a couple of hours sometimes were the most, I'd walk out, feeling just so light and excited about, we're going to get this because we've got a compelling story and we've got all the pieces of the puzzle here. So taking it from a dream, of the people who are passionate about what can we do to help others, to putting it into words, and then why is our story more compelling than the next, and then getting that the letter of the award letter of, you just got $5 million. That was like, oh my God, we can help people. And I'll have to say that one of the projects that I was involved in was with helping Kamala Harris's Back on Track program. So we got funding for that and other projects that helped our community. And so taking it from a dream, from a concept to, an award letter was the most exciting thing that I was involved in, because it had meaning to a lot of people who didn't know where we started.
Yeah. Well, and I love that, that again, a dream concept. Sorry to interrupt, but yes, that it has to start with a dream, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and also collaborating with others so that we're all going in the same direction. For the most part, was most successful, I'd have the attention of the people who mattered. The general manager or the chief of police or the airport commissioner, airport director, who said, this is our mission, go. And I was like, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm all over it. And I felt that running for office, I wanted to be that person who also guided. And it's not over. I intend to stay posted because there are other efforts that I see afoot that I know that I can get involved in. I know that I've already been appointed as an official and one of the BART subcommittees, the Police Review Board. And there are other committees that people are asking me about being involved in. And so I'm just getting started. And so I have my first political foray, and I'm looking forward to being a part of the solution, continuing to be a part of the solution.
Yes. Yeah. Well, like we said, I know, you said you would, in some ways, it would have been nice to have gotten involved in politics earlier, but here you have gotten involved. And so again, these dreams, coming together, being a thought, and then being something that you go after, and being able to, make some change and have, and help. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to share, or even just about, that experience, anything you've learned, or any just last minute that you'd love to share with us.
Well, first I'll say, following up what we just said, and so many people have written to me since the election, good first run, you'll be successful. And elected officials have told me they didn't win time. So keep going. And one of the most exciting things, which way do I go? Okay, 2 or 3 thoughts at once, but it was exciting, something I would encourage people to run for office so they begin to understand the pieces of the puzzle. But I didn't know, which was shocking to me, that just to be able to help others, you have to be a politician. And that's kind of a life thing too. In life, you have to be somewhat very conscious who the other players are. And so get involved in politics to a certain extent, get involved in professional, stay awake, be willing to serve. And I didn't know that I was going to be able to put together a political group. And so I did several events, and each time, like, is anyone gonna come? I'm so used to working by myself, but I invited people. In the first event we had at Walter Allen's Acumen offices out near the Oakland airport, 50 people came, and we raised $10,000 that day. And then I did several others, and the last one was at Wayne Perry's offices, beautiful offices in San Francisco. Mayor Willie Brown came, and 60 people came, and we raised good money. So building up your network is so critical, whether you intend to run or not, but being able to get to a yes in whatever it is you want, being a part of the world, a part of our success is critical over time. And so just be conscious of staying in touch with others within and outside of your organization, and you'll be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, well, thank you for being a part of, this portion of our organization. And
Thank you. It's been, when I found Lester, I was like, oh my God. And Robert Lester was telling me some of the things. I was like, oh my God, integrity, quality, those are unheard of terms. I was like, that's right where I am. I'm in the right place. So it's been my pleasure to serve and to work for Lester over more 2 or 3 years. And I admire where you're going, and I will always be a Lester fan.
Yes. Well, we are inspired by you and all the work you have done, and in transportation and in politics and leadership. And again, just really greatly appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you.